Hare Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So we are in which chapter? 14.
Mataji 13.33 shloka.
Acha, we are still there only.
Yeah.
13.33.
Yes,
okay.
Mataji.
Small section to be completed. यथा सर्वगतं सौक्ष्म्या आकाशं नोपलिप्यते सर्वत्रावस्थितो देहे तथात्मा नोपलिप्यते यथा सर्वगतं सौक्ष्म्यादाकाशं सौक्ष्म्याद आकाशं नोपलिप्यते यथा means as sarvagatam all pervading sukshmyad actually sukshmyad due to being very subtle akasham the sky na never upalipyate mixes sarvatra everywhere avastitah sarvavastitah everywhere situated dehe in the body tatha so atma the self na upalipyate never mixes. Like how the sky, which is very subtle, does not mix with everything, the same way the soul situated in the body also does not mix with everything. That means soul doesn't become matter and sky doesn't become gross. Simple. When you say doesn't mix means what? It doesn't become gross, it remains subtle only. The sky actually comes in the gross element. 5 gross element, one of the gross element is sky. Isn't it? Where the sound travels. But still the nature of the sky is being subtle. And the subtle element cannot mix with the gross element. The sound travels, right? The sound travels through the sky. There's a vacuum from where the sound travels. But still sky cannot be mixed with earth. Sky cannot be mixed with water. In the same way, soul cannot be mixed with matter. Soul is all pervading. Soul is pervading everywhere. Sky is also pervading everywhere. Sky is pervading, that is why sound is traveling. Why my sound is heard now? Sky is pervading. Sky pervades in your body also. There is an element in the body which is also known as sky. When you say sky, then suddenly we look up only, Akash. But sky is pervading everywhere without getting mixed with anything. It's a very subtlest point to be understood. Because what you mean by sky here refers to the vacuum. There is a space, there is a vacuum which is pervading, but which doesn't mix with everything. Soul is also pervading, which does not mix with the body. So in this way, about the imperishable soul has been described. In the previous verse also, soul does not do anything nor is entangled. So the identification of the material body and the soul has been given. Soul is always pure. Eternity of the soul has been described. And how super soul is also present everywhere. Soul is present in its own body, but super soul is present in all the bodies, knowing everything. He is a knower of everyone. Soul to an extent knows about its own body. Okay. Pushpa, read.
Hare Krishna. Yatha sarvagatam saukshmyat akasham nopalipyate sarvatravashito dehe tathatmam nopalipyate. The sky, due to its subtle nature, does not mix with anything, although it is all pervading. Similarly, the soul situated in Brahman vision does not mix with the body, though situated in that body. The air enters into water, mud, stool, and whatever else is there. Still, it does not mix with anything. Similarly, the living entity, even though situated in varieties of bodies, is aloof from them due to his subtle nature. Therefore, it is impossible to see with the material eyes how the living entity is in contact with this body and how he is out of it after the destruction of the body. No one in science can ascertain this. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. Next. यथा प्रकाशयत्येकम् कृत्स्नं कृत्स्नं लोकम् इमं रविः क्षेत्रं क्षेत्री तथा कृत्स्नं प्रकाशयति भारत. As the sun alone illuminates all this universe, so does the living entity, one bit within the body, illuminate the entire body by consciousness. Yatha prakashayati ekam, like how the sun, ekam, one, illuminates the whole universe. Krishnam lokam. In the same way, Ravi means sun, this whole body is illuminated because of the presence of soul. The whole body is having consciousness because soul is present. The moment the soul withdraws the body is dead. So that is how, what is the difference between dead body and a soul and a living body? The living body is there because soul is present. Living body has consciousness. What is the meaning of consciousness? Feel of pain and pleasure. The feel of pain and pleasure is there because the presence of soul. The moment soul withdraws itself from the body, then there is no feel of pleasure and pain. That is why you say this is a dead body. It's actually jada. Body anyhow is jada only. It is the presence of soul which illuminates the body. Okay, Goloka read.
Hare Krishna. यथा प्रकाशयत्येकः कृत्स्नं लोकम् इमं रवि क्षेत्रं क्षेत्री तथा कृत्स्नं प्रकाशयति भारत. O son of Bharata, as the sun alone illuminates all this universe, so does the living entity. One within the body illuminate the entire body by consciousness. Purport. There are various theories regarding consciousness. Here in Bhagavad Gita, the example of the sun and the sunshine is given. As the sun is situated in one place but is illuminating the whole universe, so a small particle of spirit soul, although situated in the heart of this body, is illuminating the whole body by consciousness. Thus, consciousness is the proof of the presence of the soul, as sunshine or light is the proof of the presence of the sun. When the soul is present in the body, there is consciousness all over the body. And as soon as the soul has passed from the body, there is no more consciousness. This can be easily understood by any intelligent man. Therefore, consciousness is not a product of the combinations of matter. It is the symptom of the living entity. The consciousness of the living entity, although qualitatively one with the supreme consciousness, is not supreme because the consciousness of one particular body does not share that of another body. But the super soul, which is situated in all bodies as the friend of the individual soul, is conscious of all bodies. That is the difference between supreme consciousness and individual consciousness. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. The soul is present in the individual body. Lord is present in all the bodies. That is how Lord knows everything. Soul is conscious to its own body. Kshetra Kshetrajnayore.
Sorry, I have a question.
Last will take.
Okay, Maraji.
Kshetra Kshetrajnayorevam anantaram jnana chakshusha bhuta prakriti moksham cha ye vidoryanti te param. Kshetra kshetragnyorevam anantaram jnana chakshusha bhuta prakriti moksham cha ye viduryanti te param. Kshetra, this body. Kshetragya, the proprietor of the body. Evam, thus antaram, the difference. Jnana chakshusha, by the vision of knowledge. Bhuta, of the living entity. Prakriti, from material nature. Moksham, the liberation. Cha, also, ye, those who viduno yanti, approach, te param, they, the supreme. So now here, jnana chakshusha means the vision of knowledge. With the vision of knowledge, the person antaram, he knows the difference between body and the soul, proprietor of the body. Now, the proprietor of the body, there are two types. There are two proprietors. One is individual soul, one is super soul. Super soul is the ultimate proprietor. And immediate proprietor is the individual soul. But ultimately, everything belongs to Krishna only. So the Prakriti Moksham, so one who knows this, he can attain liberation. So here, with this verse, we can understand Kshetragya is one who knows this difference. If that individual soul does not know the difference, he is not called as Kshetragya. Gya means what? Kshetragya means what? Who knows? Isn't it? Who knows about the Kshetra? He considers himself the Kshetra, then how can you call him Kshetragya? There are ignorant people who consider the body to be everything. Paropi manute anartham. They identify themselves with the body. So that person cannot be called a Kshetragya. Here very clearly it has been given, he should have jnana chakshushaha. He should have the basic knowledge. The basic knowledge is difference between body and soul. That's the basic knowledge, which extends up to understanding the proprietor of body and soul also. That is supreme soul, supreme Lord. Understanding the ultimate proprietor. That is known as complete knowledge. First is basic knowledge. ABCD is basic knowledge. Then ABCD, when you make it as words, you are advancing. Isn't it? Initially, what you teach children? A, B, C, then slowly A for apple. You teach like that. You try to join the words and make them sound. So in the same way, first understanding, I am not the body, I am soul. This is the first basic knowledge. That is why Jnanis come in the category of basic knowledge. And slowly, when the person understands his basic knowledge, he starts analyzing. He starts meditating on that super soul. That is yogis. When he starts advancing and meditating on the super soul, then ultimately he reaches that complete knowledge where he understands the proprietor is Krishna and how to use everything in Krishna's service. Even this body is also Lord's only. Body, time, our samarthya, everything belongs to Lord. Everything belongs to Lord. Whatever facilities Lord has given to us, body itself is first facility. Body-related paraphernalia, next facility. So using everything in Lord's service, that becomes Bhakti Yoga. That is how Jnana Chakshusha begins with basic understanding. And this Jnana Chakshusha attains perfection when we start utilizing, which is known as Bhakti Yoga. Okay? Because liberation has been given. Just by understanding I am not the body, I am soul, nobody has attained liberation. It is only a basic level of understanding. Liberation from bondage, that means mukti, and mukti paribhasha is jivera swarupo hai krishna nitya das. Mukti ittu anyatha rupam swarupena vivastitihi. To be situated in one's own swarupa. Just plucking the hairs, applying ash, sitting in crematorium, eating whatever, giving trouble to the body. To just understand I'm not the body, I'm soul. No liberation. No liberation. Because mukti paribhasha itself is swarupena vyavasthitihi. What is our swarupa? We are eternally servants of Krishna. Without that, how can we come out of that bondage? Janma, mrityu, jara, vyadhi is not so easy to come out. Though everybody wants to die if they are in trouble. Isn't it? When a person is in trouble, you see, he always says, I just want mukti. But that is not mukti. Mukti paribhasha is always serve Krishna. Then that is mukti. He attains to the supreme goal. Again, see what has been given. Param. And param cannot be attained without bhakti yoga. That is why jnana chakshusha though begins with the basic understanding of jnana, then reaching to the level of dhyana, but ultimate is bhakti. Then only one can attain Krishna. Okay? Aruna Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Kshetra kshetrajnayor evam anantaram cha gnana chakshusha bhuta prakriti moksham cha ye viduryanti te param. Those who see with eyes of knowledge the difference between the body and the knower of the body and can also understand the process of liberation from bondage in material nature attain to the supreme goal. The purport of this 13th chapter is that one should know the distinction between the body and the owner of the body and the super soul. One should recognize the process of liberation as described in verse 8 through 12. Then one can go on to the supreme destination. A faithful person should at first have some good association to hear of God and thus gradually become enlightened. If one accepts a spiritual master, one can learn to distinguish between the matter and spirit, and that becomes a stepping stepping stone for further spiritual realization. A spiritual master, by various instruction, teaches his student to get free from the material concept of life. For instance, in Bhagavad Gita, we find Krishna instructing Arjuna to free from the materialistic considerations. One can understand that this body is matter. It can be analyzed with its 24 elements. The body is the gross manifestation, and the subtle manifestation is the mind and psychologically effects. And the symptom of the life are in the interaction of these features. But over and above this, there is a soul. There is the soul, and there is also the super soul. And the soul and the super soul are two. This material world is working by the conjunction of the soul and 24 material elements. One who can see the constitution of the whole material manifestation as this combination of the soul and material elements and can also see the situation of the supreme soul becomes eligible for transfer to the spiritual world. These things are meant for contemplation and for realization, and one should have a complete understanding of this chapter with the help of the spiritual master. Thus end Bhakti Vedanta purports of 13th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita in the matter of nature, the enjoyer and the consciousness. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. Krishna Prabhupada gives a wonderful explanation for how to understand this chapter, interaction of Kshetra, Kshetrakya, and understanding who is real Kshetrakya. Two Kshetrakyas are there. The individual soul who knows the basic difference and super soul. Okay? Yes. Any doubts, Aditya?
Yes, Maraji. In the second last verse, in the purport, it was mentioned that consciousness is not the product of combination of matter. And in verse number 6 and 7, there was this mention in the translation about the life symptom. It consisted of the 24 elements and their interaction. So one of the element was life symptom, and in the purport, Srila Prabhupada explained that consciousness is the manifestation of subtle body. So I'm confused, Mataji. If you can please elaborate.
There is no 24 elements. The 24 elements, there is no mention of consciousness. And the 5 great elements are a gross representation of the false ego. About the consciousness, which line you are saying in the 6th and 7th?
Yeah.
The living symptoms represented by consciousness and convictions are the manifestation of the subtle body. The living symptoms. Now, I am living. How it is seen? Now we are not talking about that supreme consciousness. We are not talking about the pure consciousness. Here the consciousness is referred to how it is seen that I am living because of the presence of subtle body, mind, ego, and intelligence. Try to understand. Consciousness means now there are two meanings. One is conscious of Krishna, that comes in divinity. Okay? That comes in purifying our mind, ego, and intelligence. That's purification. Then only in consciousness you can keep Krishna. One is I am conscious. Yes, I am hearing to you. I am conscious. Are you subconscious? Are you unconscious? Are you conscious? How to understand? Oh, mind is functioning. Oh, it is intelligence is functioning. If suppose the mind is not functioning, then you say is unconscious. Mind is only not functioning. Is subconscious. This conscious word is applicable in different circumstances. Okay. There it is only talking about the living symptoms. The living symptoms. The person, like the child is born. The child grows. His intelligence is not growing. Then what do you say? His mind is also not functioning. What do you say? So how will you see that the consciousness is present by seeing this mind, subtle body? Now, in this verse, supreme consciousness and individual consciousness has been given. When we talk about supreme consciousness, individual consciousness is referred to 6 and 7. Okay. Supreme consciousness refers to Lord being in everyone's heart and knowing the desires of everybody. That has been given. Conscious, he knows your desire, my desire. Mind is a place where desires function. So conscious here is not talking about the matter. It is not mixed with the matter. We are not talking about it being a part of 24 elements. No, it is not a part of 24 elements. In fact, it is a byproduct of mind. It is a byproduct of your intelligence. Oh, I am conscious of the all insults which has been done. What it is? Byproduct of your mind. Oh, I am conscious. People are hearing to me. Like people like when you travel in train, some people look at you. You become conscious, isn't it? Oh, he's looking at me. Why? It's a byproduct of your mind. Your mind spoke to you. Intelligence looked at it. Oh, I am conscious of all the insults which has been done. Oh, I am conscious of all the praises. It's only a byproduct. Okay? It's a byproduct of your subtle body. Man, buddhi, ahankar. Somebody insults, we get angry or not? What it is? It hurts our ego. It's a byproduct. That what we are speaking about, conscious is not the 24 elements, it's a byproduct of the 3 subtle body. Okay?
Okay, Mataji, thank you. Hare Krishna.
So don't get confused in that. Anyone else question? So we'll start with the 14th chapter. 3 modes of material nature. Now, after describing Kshetra, in that one is Pradhan, 3 modes of material nature. How does it function? How does it gives, how does it varies? How does it varies in actions of different people? Why people's action varies? How is it functioning? So 3 modes of material nature, 14th chapter. Now just see, from the Pradhana, 24 elements, this subject has been taken because this Pradhan, 3 modes of material nature, plays a very, very important role in analyzing us to be a Brahmana or a Kshatriya or a Vaishya or a Shudra. What type of quality we have. Birth is not the criteria. It is the quality which is the criteria. Yes, that birth is because of that accumulated quality. Again, after getting accumulated quality, whether he is really enhancing that quality or is he getting deprived of it. That means he is not using the qualities. Then he loses the merits. So if he has all these wonderful qualities, or if he doesn't have also, what makes him call himself a Brahmana or a Kshatriya or a Vaishya or a Shudra? Or what makes the activities of 2 persons different? Like your activity, my activity will be different, or my activity, my sister's activity will be different, brother activity, sister activity will be different. There are 10 children born, there are 2 children born to the same mother. Everyone's activity differs. This is the 3 modes of material. Most important chapter. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Param Bhuya Pravakshyami Jnananam Jnanamuttamam Yajgyatva Munayah Sarve Param Siddhim Itokataha. Again, how will you attain perfection? Krishna says, Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Param Pravakshyami Jnanam. I am going to speak that supreme wisdom, Uttamam, and this supreme wisdom is the best, Uttamam, the best of all knowledge. Just by knowing this, Yajgyatva, just by knowing this, many munis, sages, they have become transcendental. They have attained perfection. In this way, they have attained that supreme world, supreme perfection. Generally, we see people as they are. Like people come and talk to us, or people respond to us. It may vary. Some people may be very envious. Some people may be very friendly. Some people will be very caring. Some may come and insult us. Some may get angry with us. So what we are seeing that person. But sages, they see the interaction of the modes. That is why they don't blame that person. It is just interaction of the modes which makes a person work in a different way. And ultimately, it is your destination. You're destined to get this. So, the modes come in different ways to affect you. So, wise knows, the sages, they know. When the sages, they know this, they are not affected by some praise, by some insult. They are not affected. They just do their work. Then you say, why Narada got angry? When Nalakuber and Manigriv, they were standing nude. When great sages get angry also, it is for others' good. It was for rectifying the pride in Nalakuber and Manigriv. Narada is not affected. How to understand sages are affected or not? Many times we have seen sages cursing. Durvasa Muni is always ready. But how to understand? They are always doing their devotional activity. Their activity is not disturbed. Prabhupada is to get angry. So much. Prabhupada he wanted always everything to be perfect. The Prabhupada is to scold his disciples, not everyone, to his disciples. Left and right he used to give. Left, right, center he used to scold. But you should not immediately, we should not come to the conclusion, oh, he has a lot of tamas. That is why anger is there. No. It is not tamas or it is passion. It is for the correction. So acharyas, great sages, when they scold or when they behave in some way, they are transcendental to the modes. They become very immune to the criticism or the praise which comes to them. They just walk in devotional service. That is why they can transcend. This word is very important, transcend. Okay. Hari Chaitanya Prabhu, read. Hari Chaitanya Prabhu. Or Mayu Prabhu, read. How will I know you are in the class or not? If you are keep your videos off and if I call and you are not hearing, then I should think that you are sleeping. Isn't it? Generally in classes you feel like to sleep. At least if I call, you are responding. Okay, you are traveling or you must be in such a position that you cannot on the video. Okay, Mayur Prabhu, read.
Sri Bhagavan Uvacha Param Bhuya Prayokshami Jnananam Jnanam Uttamam Yadvatma Munaya Sarve Param Siddhimito Gataha. Meaning, the Supreme Personality of Godhead said, again I shall declare to you this supreme wisdom, the best of all knowledge, knowing which all the sages have attained the supreme perfection. Purport. From the 7th chapter to the end of 12th chapter, Sri Krishna in detail reveals the absolute truth, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now, the Lord Himself is further enlightening Arjuna. If one understands this chapter through the process of philosophical speculation, he will come to an understanding of devotional service. In the 13th chapter, it was clearly explained that by humbly developing knowledge, one may possibly be free from material entanglement. It has also been explained that it is due to association of the modes of nature that the living entity is entangled in this material world. Now, in this chapter, the Supreme Personality the Supreme Personality explains what those modes of nature are, how they act, how they bind, and how they give liberation. The knowledge explained in this chapter is proclaimed by the Supreme Lord to be superior to the knowledge given so far in other chapters. By understanding this knowledge, various great sages attained perfection and transferred to the spiritual world. The Lord now explains the same knowledge in a better way. This knowledge is far, far superior to all processes of knowledge thus far explained, and knowing this many attain perfection. Thus, it is expected that one who understands this 14th chapter will attain perfection. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. Interaction of the modes. If we have this knowledge, then it's very easy to attain perfection. Because of the lack of this knowledge, what happens? We take the things as it is, like सामने से जो दिख रहा है. We don't go deep into it. What is the thing which is provoking him to do this? Why is he behaving? Why the behavioral pattern is different? Generally, we go to psychologists, isn't it? Psychiatrists. Psychiatrists cannot understand the interaction of the modes. They can only see a superficial behavior. When a particular person is behaving in a different way, what is provoking him? So sages, they work on these modes. And that is how they know to cure also. That is how they cure people. It is not that they only see the behavior pattern. By that behavioral pattern, they go to the root cause. The root cause is the interaction of modes. When the person is too attached, why? Then they can understand, oh, this is because of a lot of passion. Then they try to work on passion. He's trying to be too good to everyone. What is that mode? And mode is goodness, where he tries to be too humble, too good. But then this too also is taken a lot of people take a lot of benefit out of it. And the person messes up his life. And in this way gets entangled in this material world. Being too good is also very dangerous. And too bad anyhow is dangerous. All these three modes are going to bind us. It's going to come now. Everything is going to come. Three modes will bind us. Becoming too good also will bind us. Passion is also going to bind us. Ignorance is also going to bind us. That is why one has to transcend these modes. Idam jnanam upashitya mama sadharmyam agatah sargepi nopajayante pralayena vyavasthinah. By becoming fixed in knowledge, one can attain in the transcendental nature like my own. So one has to be in knowledge. Thus established, one is not born at the time of creation or disturbed at the time of dissolution. Idam, this jnanam is very important, taking ashraya, upashitah. And how is this jnanam? It is like the Lord says, attaining this transcendental nature. That means coming out of all this, don't try to be too good also, too passionate also, too ignorant also. Come out of even being good also. Because materially, if a person is good, he is expected to be more good. If you are materially bad, nobody will say you become worst. So this good also binds us. Come out of all this. Transcend. Transcend. So this is very much important. When a person transcends, then his nature is like Krishna's nature. Now we get how to understand this. Generally, when it comes to bad, it is very much easy to understand. But when it is good, it is very difficult to understand. Isn't it? Like Lord, we feel daya, isn't it? Why Lord doesn't have daya? Lord doesn't have daya. Lord is more compassionate than us. Even the suffering of a jiva is also the daya showered by Lord onto that person. Because at least karma kat raha hai. Because of our karmas only we are suffering. And Lord somehow in that suffering also gives relief. And that relief, if a person understands, oh, this suffering is less for me. Why I did such a bad karma, I should have got more suffering. If he learns to speak this, he can see the strength of devotional service, the strength of Lord's hand on his head. That is why it is said, comparison should be done in devotional life with those who are suffering more and see that at least I have eyes to study Bhagavad Gita. I have consciousness to study Bhagavad Gita. I have ears to hear. I have hands to chant. There are people who don't have eyes. There are people who are born in a very bad families. There are people who are doing very wrong activities. At least Krishna, you have saved me. Some sufferings, everybody has some amount of suffering. Those sufferings are no more sufferings if we see Krishna's hand in giving us so many things which I am not even eligible for. So if this type of attitude is there, then a person can transcend these three things. Passion makes a person desire more. Ignorance makes a person completely unaware of the things around. Goodness makes a person too social, too familiar, too familist, you can say, always being with the family. Too much, too much, too much. That too much will bind that person. Not so easy to come out. First, having that faith, Krishna is there. Krishna has given everybody everything. I am not the only person. So we have to know. If I am the only person, then yes. If Krishna has chosen me to help someone, we should do that. But trying to be too good, again, will bind us. Trying to be too passionate will bind us. Trying to be too ignorant will bind us. That is why be divine. As much as possible, give Krishna consciousness, give real strength to the people. If I have got the opportunity to help someone, give Krishna consciousness. Don't restrict Krishna consciousness to oneself. Give to others. Opportunity has come in the form of friendship, in the form of family. If the opportunity has come to interact with the people, good. Take that opportunity, speak of Krishna. Or give Krishna name. Okay. Saurabh Prabhu, read.
इदं ज्ञानमुपाश्रित्य मम साधर्म्यमागतः सर्गेऽपि नोपजायन्ते प्रलये न व्यथन्ति च. By becoming fixed in this knowledge, one can attain to the transcendental nature like my own. Thus established, one is not born at the time of creation or disturbed at the time of dissolution. After acquiring perfect transcendental knowledge, one acquires qualitative equality with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, becoming free from the repetition of birth and death. One does not, however, lose his identity as an individual soul. It is understood from Vedic literature that the liberated souls who have reached the transcendental planets of the spiritual sky always look to the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord, being engaged in his transcendental loving service. So, even after liberation, the devotees do not lose their individual identities. Generally, in the material world, whatever knowledge we get is contaminated by the three modes of material nature. Knowledge which is not contaminated by the three modes of nature is called transcendental knowledge. As soon as one is situated in that transcendental knowledge, he is on the same platform as the Supreme Person. Those who have no knowledge of the spiritual sky hold that after being freed from the material activities of the material form, this spiritual identity becomes formless without any variegatedness. However, just as there is material variegatedness in this world, in the spiritual world, there is also variegatedness. Those in ignorance of this think that spiritual existence is opposed to material variety. But actually, in the spiritual sky, one attains a spiritual form. There are spiritual activities, and the spiritual situation is called devotional life. That atmosphere is said to be uncontaminated, and one is equal in quality with the Supreme Lord. To obtain such knowledge, one must develop all the spiritual qualities. One who thus develops the spiritual qualities is not affected either by the creation or by the destruction of the material world.
Okay. Last verse. Mama yonir mahat brahma tasminnartham tasmin garbham dadamyaham sambhavah sarvabhutanam tato bhavati bharata. Mama yoni mahat brahma tasmin garbham dadamyaham sambhavah sarvabhutanam tato bhavati bharata. So now we are talking about the Brahman. Now Brahman here refers to the combination, the whole total Mat Brahman, combination of 24 elements along with the Jiva. When Lord glances the Mat Tattva, he infuses Kala Shakti and Jiva Shakti. That is how Lord impregnates and makes possible the birth of all the living entities. So here Brahman refers to the Mahat Tattva, the combination of 24 elements, and makes the living entity get variety types of body Every living entity gets a type of body according to the previous life impressions. Now I've got a human body, you have got a human body. Somebody has got a plant body, somebody has got a animal body. Again, it is because of the modes by which there is a difference in the type of body. And we have seen this in second chapter also. That the lust which is there in encovering the pure consciousness. Now we are talking about the pure consciousness, where the living entity always remembers that he is servant of Krishna. What makes him forget is the covering of the lust. For a human, it is like the smoke which has covered the fire. Little handling of the fire will clear away the smoke. You know, you do, then smoke goes away. Fire kindles. The lust, dhumena vrate varani, that verse. So when the covering is little more than animal body, that has been described as a dust which has covered the mirror. You just have to wipe it. But at least consciousness is there. Feel of pain and pleasure is there. But what about the trees? The covering is so much that if you take a stone and beat the tree does not drop tears. The feel of pain and pleasure is not there. That is why there is no reaction. Even if cut the tree also, there is no reaction. So what is that consciousness which we are speaking now about? It is the byproduct of man, buddhi, ahankar. Mind thinks. Like, see, for a human, you insult a human, immediately you feel bad, isn't it? The tears drop, or you get angry. You show the reaction. You go and tell something to a dog. Intelligence is not functioning. That is where the consciousness differs. You tell good words or bad words, it doesn't matter. But one thing, feel of pain and pleasure, you take a stone and throw, it will run away. But for a tree, jada, you praise, you beat, you kick it, nothing. You pull it out, you pluck, no pain, no pleasure. So that is why the previous verse, consciousness can be understood by these three factors. Man, buddhi, ahankar. Okay. Now Lord says, according to their karmas, any of birth is possible just because Jiva Brahman is infused in Mahat-tattva, combination of 24 elements. Now how that is going to, what type of body they get, that all will start from fifth verse onwards. Gita, read.
Hare Krishna. Mama yonirmahat brahma tasmin garbham dadamyaham sambhava sarva bhutanam tato bhavati bharata. Translation: the total material substance called Brahman is the source of birth, and it is that Brahman that I impregnate, making possible the birth of all living beings, O son of Bharata. Purport. This is an explanation of the world. Everything that takes place is due to the combination of Kshetra and Kshetrajna, the body and the spirit soul. This combination of material nature and the living entity is made possible by the Supreme God Himself. The Mahat Tattva is the total cause of the total cosmic manifestation and that total substance of the material cause, in which there are three modes of nature, is sometimes called Brahman. The Supreme Personality impregnates that total substance, and thus innumerable universe become possible. This total material substance, the Mahatattva, is described as Brahman in the Vedic literature, Mundaka Upanishad 1.1.19. Tasmat etat Brahma Namarubam Annam cha Jayade. The Supreme Person impregnates that Brahman with the seeds of the living entities. The 24 elements beginning from earth, water, fire, and air are all material energy, and they constitute what is called Mahat Brahma or the Great Brahman, the material nature. As explained in the 7th chapter, beyond this there is another superior nature, the living entity. Into material nature, the supreme nature is mixed by the will of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and thereafter all living entities are born of this material nature. The scorpion lays its eggs in piles of rice, and sometimes it is said that the scorpion is born out of rice. But the rice is not the cause of the scorpion. Actually, the eggs were laid by the mother. Similarly, material nature is not the cause of the birth of the living entities. The seed is given by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and they only seem to come out as products of material nature. Thus, every living entity, according to his past activities, has a different body created by this material nature, so that the entity can enjoy or suffer according to his past deeds. The Lord is the cause of all the manifestations of living entities in this material world. Hare Krishna.
Okay. Any questions? You can ask. It's a nice chapter. Very few verses are only there, some 27, 28. Yes, 27 verses are there. No doubts? We'll stop here. Take on Wednesday. We'll try to, Wednesday and Friday, we'll try to complete this chapter.